All right, in our last bit of learning, we were exposed to what organic chemistry is. And in that, I said to you that you'd only have to focus on the hydrocarbons in this particular topic. So what are the hydrocarbons? Well, they are the organic compounds only made up of carbon and hydrogen atoms. Pretty original there. Hydro for hydrogen, carbon for carbon. There are three types of hydrocarbons: the alkanes, the alkenes, and the alkynes. These are what we call the functional groups. So if you only see carbon-carbon single bonds, whether they're in a chain or if they're looped around in a circle, so that'll be a pentagon, a hexagon, a heptagon, whatever, then they are alkanes. The end of their name, the suffix, is ane. So methane, ethane, propane, and so on. If, however, you see that hydrocarbon has got a carbon-carbon double bond, so two lines in between some carbon atoms representing 4 electrons, 2 pairs to make 2 bonds, then it's an alkene. It's what we call an unsaturated hydrocarbon, because you could break one of these and add a new atom to each carbon. So we call that unsaturated. Alkanes are saturated. You can't break a bond to put a new atom in there without completely breaking open the alkane. So alkenes end in the ene suffix. So you wouldn't have a methane because you can't have a double bond there, but you can have ethene, propene, butene, and so on. A commonly heard one is cyclohexene, which is one we sometimes use in class. Now, the last of the hydrocarbons are the alkynes, YNE. 3 bonds between the carbons. This is quite an unstable bond, so quite easy to break. So again, it's an unsaturated hydrocarbon because we can break those bonds and put other atoms in there without breaking the carbon chain. Alkynes are named with the YNE ending. So again, you wouldn't have methane because 1 carbon, but ethine, propine, butane, and so on. So in the last video, I talked about functional groups. These are our functional groups. I also said the carbon chain length was going to be important. Well, they're named a particular way. If there's only 1 carbon, so it'd have to be an alkane. If there's only 1 carbon, then it starts with the prefix meth, M-E-T-H. So the 1 carbon version of an alkane is called methane. The 2 carbon version, so if I summarize these, it's C2H6. You can see that it's got 2 carbons. Starts with eth, so ethane. There are alkenes with 2 carbons, so that would be ethene. There are also alkynes with 2 carbons, that would be ethine. When we get to 3, so we can see there's 3 there, then we have got the prefix prop, P-R-O-P, propane, propene, propine. Now, the first 4 are actually quite hard because there doesn't seem to be a rhyme or reason to them. So the easiest way I remembered those, because I used to get them a bit mixed up when I was a student, was to make a mnemonic or a little saying like we do for the periodic table, that sort of thing. So my little one was, I've always loved peanut butter. So I had this one, Matt enjoys peanut butter, as my mnemonic. After 4 it gets easy because they're just the same prefixes as the shapes. So pent, hex, 7 would be hept, 8 is oct, 9 is non, like a nonagon is a 9-sided shape, a hexagon is a 6-sided shape, that sort of thing. So they get a bit easier, after 5, but I find that it's good to have a mnemonic to remember the first 4 for naming. This year, you'll only have to name up to 8 carbons. So meth, eth, prop, but, pent, hex, hept, H-E-P-T, and oct. So there are our functional groups for the hydrocarbons. There are how we name the carbon chain length, and there's some examples there. And again, this is covered on page 135 in your SciPad.